So Sounders fans, remember during that week that you played LAFC, like I did a monologue after that match, basically telling you that in order for you to get the respect that you desire from America, you have to continue to beat the city of Los Angeles. You see, winning championships is not enough. And I know that sucks because you have really done a lot. But because you are so far in the great Northwest, and a lot of people, when it comes to sports, a lot of people don't pay attention to Western teams that are west of I-35, like teams that are west of Austin and Dallas. Like when it comes to sports, a lot of people don't pay attention to those teams for whatever reason. I don't know why, but the only city west of I-35, west of Austin, that Americans mainly pay attention to is the LA teams. You know, it's the second largest market in the world behind New York. So because of that, LA will always get more love for now. You change that by continuing to beat them, by continuing to win, which is something you have been doing, Sounders. But you have to continue to do it. This same principle applies to you, Portland. Now, Portland, you got a lot of catching up to do. Because when it comes to just teams that's doing a good job representing the Northwest, it's really just Seattle. Now, Portland, you have been trying, but you have not gotten over the hump. You had a good playoff run last year, and you should have used that playoff run as momentum to carry you over this year. But it looked like you have been regressing. I know that defeat to NYCFC was heartbreaking. I know that loss to NYCFC in the 2021 MLS Cup championship match against all the fans was very disappointing. But you should have used that heartbreak, Portland, to level up. And it's something that you have not done yet. But guess what, Portland? There's still time. You still have a chance to make a late season run. And it's going to have to start this weekend. It's going to have to start on Saturday. Portland, you have a lot of potential. And to be honest with you, you have more potential than the LA teams, and you have more potential than the Texas boys. Now, why do I say that? It's because of your heart. You don't attract the big megastars like LAFC. You don't attract the national media like LA Galaxy. But you have heart. You may not be the comeback kid like Austin. You may not have wealthy ownership like Dallas, the Hunt family. You may not be able to recruit Mexican stars that has potential of helping their team move from the bottom of the Western Conference like Houston. But what you have is heart. And your heart is bigger than the Texas boys and the LA teams. And like, Portland, what motivated you to make that late season run, to make that postseason run? For you to go to Colorado and beat the Rapids on Thanksgiving Day. What made you to find something within your heart to find something within your spirit, to find something within your soul that motivated you to force the MLS Cup championship in 2021 to go to extra time. You see, when we were all watching the match, we were thinking that NYC had this game. But in the, I think it was like the fourth minute in extra time, penalty time, you scored a goal late in that match and forced that game to go to extra time. We need to see that same Portland during the second half of this season. We need to see that same Portland that upset Colorado. That same Portland team that almost upset NYCFC. We need to see that same Portland team starting tomorrow. You got it in you. You got it in you. Because I seen it. I watched that entire playoff run. In Portland, I honestly thought you were going to lose to Colorado on Thanksgiving Day because I thought Colorado was the better team. But you proved me wrong because of your heart. Now, this Cascadia Cup in general, I had to do extra research on it because I thought it was just between Portland and Seattle. Come to find out, Vancouver is also part of this rivalry. And the all-time series, so Seattle, and I guess how it's done, the team that has the most wins out of the three when they face each other, that what determines the Cascadia Cup champion for that season. So, and this is something that started while all three of these teams were in the USL. So this is a rivalry that goes way, way back before all three of these teams joined the MLS. So this is a real historical, fierce rivalry. And the good thing about this rivalry, it's not your typical just one or just two teams going at each other. It's a mini tournament within the season between these teams. It's like a rivalry tournament. That what makes this rivalry really interesting. It's something that the Texas boys can consider doing if they haven't done so yet because they got three teams. I'm not sure if it's something that California is also doing. I'm not sure if it'll be really interesting with California because San Jose does not take football serious for some reason. So this rivalry is unique. It really is. Now, Portland, you're only 3 points behind the Sounders. You win this match, and you're tied. Both of you are tied with 26 points. Vancouver, you're only 2 points behind the Sounders. You beat Minnesota tonight, you're on top. You're on top of them. They're out. Vancouver, you beat Minnesota tonight. Seattle's out of playoff position right now because you will have 27 points. The Sounders will be at 26. Minnesota will still stay at 24. This is the time of the year where I want to see more wins than ties. All the ties that you wanted to do, you had it during the first half of the season. This is why I'll stress into MLS teams. Don't put so much effort and energy into the first half of the season because you got so many other tournaments that's going on that you have to balance with the first half of the season. Save your energy for the second half of the season and the third half of the season. So there's 3 halves of the season. So, you got your first international break, and then after that, after that, it's the second half of the season until All-Star break. And then after All-Star break, it's the final push. So we're in the second half of the season. Now is the time we need to start seeing wins. If you're a team that put all of your energy into the first half of the season, good luck. Because MLS, you should not treat the MLS season like an NFL season. Good luck to the teams that put all of their energy in the first half of the season and they're going to run out of gas come the second half of the season and the third half. Good luck. Portland, the season is not over. Vancouver, the season is not over. Vancouver, it starts with you tonight. The Cascadia Cup standings, basically the relevancy and the importance of the Cascadia Cup, it starts tonight with you, Vancouver. Because you beat Minnesota, you're at 27 points. See, you automatically affect Seattle and Portland this weekend without even playing them, Vancouver. All you have to do is beat Minnesota and you're at top with 27 points. Portland, you beat Seattle, you'll be tied with Seattle. Both of y'all have 26 points, but y'all will not be on top of Vancouver. So Vancouver, even though the Cascadia Cup does not physically involve you, it indirectly involves you, Vancouver. Because if you beat Minnesota tonight, the Sounders and Portland will be chasing after you for that final playoff spot. This year's Cascadia Cup could go down as one of the most interesting Cascadia Cup. I don't know what you call this, right? Because it's not really. It's like a mini tournament. So I say the 2022 edition of the Cascadia Cup series. This could go down as one of the most interesting in our lifetime. You already have the Continental Champion, the Seattle Sounders. But look at the drama. They're only like 2 or 3 more points. They're 2 points away. They're only 2 points ahead of Vancouver. Only 3 points ahead of Portland. If Vancouver wins tonight, Seattle is knocked out of playoff position. And if Seattle loses to Portland, oh man, it's going to make it even harder for them to regain playoff position. So in my past monologues, I've gave enough praise. I gave enough words of encouragement to the Sounders. They don't need any more encouragement. The only thing they have to do is just continue to win. Because remember what I told you, Sounders. You have to turn into the bad guy. Because even though you're the most prestigious team in the West, in all of MLS, nobody respects you. Portland still think they're better than you. Vancouver, they may not think that they're better than you, but they're not afraid of you. The LA boys are not afraid of you. The Texas boys are not afraid of you. San Jose's not even afraid of you because the way they played you in the US Open Cup. So Sounders, you just have to keep winning. But Sounders, you already know how I feel about you and what I believe about you and your abilities. So this monologue right here is mainly for Portland and Vancouver. Vancouver Whitecaps, you set the tone tonight. I still remember that late season push that you had in the second half of the season last year, Vancouver. Because in the first half of the season last year, you started off at the bottom. And then in the second half of the season, you made a run. And on decision day, the final game of the year, you were able to punch a ticket into the playoffs. That's the kind of Vancouver team I want to see again for the second half of the season. And it starts tonight. Vancouver, you beat Minnesota. You got that 7th seed. You affect Vancouver. You affect the Cascadia Cup without even participating in it this weekend. Because you win, you got 27 points. It doesn't, the only way that Seattle gets back on top of you is if they beat Portland. But if you win and Portland wins, or even a draw, So if Seattle loses or ties, Vancouver, you're knocking them all out of playoff spot. And this is why these matches this weekend is going to be interesting. Because these three teams, they can't settle for ties. This is not a typical weekend where ties are acceptable. Ties are unacceptable for every Cascadia Cup team this weekend. Vancouver, Seattle, Portland, ties and losses are unacceptable. And this is why this is why now's the time for those who are not really familiar with MLS. Now's the time for you to start familiarizing yourself with it, because the matches are heating up now. It's the second half of the season, and most of the teams are out of the U.S. Open Cup. So now everybody is focused on either Supporter Shield or MLS Cup playoffs. Because even if the teams that don't win the Supporter Shield, they have a chance to get that MLS Cup championship. So now things are starting to heating up. You got Supporter Shield competition and you got MLS Cup playoff race. Vancouver, Seattle, Portland. Even though El Tráfico is going to steal the show this weekend, the Cascadia Cup is going to have bigger storylines than El Tráfico. But because it's the city of Los Angeles, they're going to get all the media attention. But Northwest teams, I'm watching. I've done my research. I'm more educated about this now. So the good thing is El Tráfico is tonight, and then the Cascadia Cup is tomorrow. So I'll be able to watch all matches. But Vancouver, you set the tone tonight. You set the tone tonight, Vancouver. It all starts with you tonight. You are going to indirectly affect the Cascadia Cup. You win, Vancouver. All you have to do is win. Take care of business. And you got a playoff seeding. And then Portland, you're the one that's at the bottom. Seattle and Vancouver is on top of you. So Portland, you got to be the dog. You got to be the dog. As a matter of fact, Portland, this is what you should do tonight. Maybe you should watch a movie, like a battle movie. Man, I can't think of one. Maybe like Braveheart. Just watch a movie about like a combat story where there's a large group of people going into battle and they come out on top, like they're the underdog, and they come out on top. I can't really think of a movie name right now. Maybe Braveheart or something like that. But that's your homework tonight, Portland. Watch some kind of movie that will motivate you all to play good against the Sounders. Portland, it's all wins from here now. No more losses, no more ties. You need to go on a winning streak, Portland. You play Vancouver next week, San Jose, and then Minnesota. You can go 4-0 in these matches, Portland. You can go 4-0. But even if the Sounders miss the playoffs, many people won't be mad at the Sounders. They already got a fat track record. They have a fat, good resume. And they already won something. They already have a championship in something. Portland, you have nothing this year. So set the tone this weekend, Portland. Vancouver, it starts with you tonight. It starts with you tonight. In Seattle, you already know what you have to do. You just have to continue to take care of business.